So we're here today with two of my favorite people in the world, and absolutely my favorite channels and alchemists in the world for sure. Lightworkers 613, Flavia and Nanda. Welcome them, please. You can find them on YouTube. I believe their handle is Lightworkers 613 still from the last I looked.
Yes.
And you can find them on Patreon as well for their alchemy and sacred sexuality. Right.
Yes.
Highly recommended, my friends. We're all going to be channeling together, taking your questions for Saint Germain, who is one of my absolute favorites, and Lady Portia.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks
we're going
so
to talk
much.
about that. Go ahead and introduce yourself. And
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you are also our favorite.
Yeah.
So, of course, and we mention you so many times on our
yeah.
things as well. And sometimes I even wonder, like, is she feeling maybe like
Is her
am
ears
I?
burning?
Yeah, it's like. Can she hear me in her head? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we are so grateful to be here with you and
Yeah.
to be doing something, that we love with someone that we love and appreciate so much. So thank you very much.
It's such a pleasure.
Yes.
yeah, I've been doing a lot of alchemy with Saint Germain on my Patreon channel, a lot for the past couple of years. And you've been doing a lot with Sacred Sexuality.
Yes.
And I thought we would bring this topic together to kind of brainstorm, throw it around with these two ascended masters that are here with us today, and give our viewers a chance to talk about it, talk about what they're experiencing, ask questions to Saint Germain or Lady Portia. And just I wanted to also give you guys a chance to talk about just, I guess you would say, the whole topic of sacred sexuality as it is, because it appears to be, like, from my perspective as an old generation X, is so taboo. I'm always like, oh, sacred sexuality and tantra. I'm going to send you to someone. And there's only one someone that I trust in that, and that is you two. I love to talk about twin flames, though, and that is
Yes.
relationships and the concept of soulmates and soul family and what it really means, right? So, what have you guys been experiencing in a modern world in terms of sacred sexuality? Like, what is it? Let's start there. What is it to you?
Well, I completely agree. There's a lot of like taboo and some ideas that come from an older construct, I think, and sometimes even like an imbalanced construct from just society and sometimes even uh, religious beliefs and things like that. So we do encounter that sometimes, but we always try to approach sacred sexuality from a very neutral perspective and all encompassing and very like limitless, because that's how we perceive it. It is one of the best, we think, techniques to create, like using the innate energy that came with you in this body as like a spark of the divine that is your sexual energy, and using it mindfully with awareness, and sometimes with a lot of training, sometimes with a lot of practice, which it does take to fully master these energies, and then create, and for whatever means you wish to, so you can use it for any spiritual practice that you want. And sacred sexuality does not mean sex, it does not mean gender identity. So we also talk a lot about that and sexuality as a whole and everything. So but absolutely, it is something that it comes up sometimes, that people have a hard time even understanding two women so freely talking about sex and sexuality and everything that it encompasses. So I understand absolutely that.
Yeah. And it's such an important topic to think about and to study, because we are here living in a physical body, and it's natural to, when you're starting to study and to understand spirituality, we go outside, we go to these other planes of existence, and it becomes all often very mental. So it's important to learn this balance between the physical, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the sacred spirituality is learning this balance and learning to master the body and the energies together so you can improve your physical life.
Yes.
Mm. Right when you were talking about people not understanding two females, someone said, well, what does that? What does she, her even mean? And I was hearing from Saint Germain a little bit about that, and I wanted to throw that out to you guys as well. Like if you're hearing anything coming through from either Saint Germain or Lady Portia about what does she, her mean, because I heard it really loud and clear. As soon as the person typed it in chat, I heard from him, but sexuality isn't your gender. It has nothing to do with your gender. Like it's not your gender is how you feel inside of your soul. It has nothing to do with how you're expressing in your body, although you can express as feminine or not feminine. Gender is all encompassing, but it is not anything to do with your actual sexuality. Right?
Exactly.
Gender is not, gender is who you are in your soul, not, you know, whether you feel like you have a penis or vagina is what I'm hearing from Lady Portia very clearly. You're coming across as really candid, by the way. And very professional and right. He's calm right now, but she's candid. She said that has
Love
to do
it.
with whether or not you identify with having a penis or having a vagina.
Yes, that is exactly it. And exactly this awareness brought us to even bring a more encompassing term for divine masculine and divine feminine. And we've been introducing that in our classes and everything, that we're slowly progressing into not using feminine and masculine exactly because we have such constructed ideas of what it means and what it is, and everything that you mentioned. So we even are bringing a term for the feminine, which we are calling it voz, which means voice in Portuguese. And for the masculine is luz, which means light. And it talks more about the essence of the vibration instead of immediately making you think of a gender or gender identity or anything related to that. So I love that they are bringing this up, because it's something that we are very passionate about, as you can probably see. Sometimes I use my hands a lot. Very passionate about this.
Yeah. I think also the person asked because there is the she, her in front of our names here.
Okay.
So we use this as a way, we work a lot with inclusivity and wanting to open the space for people to feel comfortable in expressing their identity and feeling comfortable in being who they are. And not everybody identifies as, for an example, I'm a cis woman, so it means that when I was born, I was assigned the female gender, and I identify as that, but some other people don't. So when we open the space to, if I'm comfortable with saying that these are my pronouns, other people that have different pronouns, they can also feel free to express theirs, and we can respect that without it being such a, like, oh my God, you're so different to have a different pronoun. It's more inclusive this way, so everybody can feel free to express themselves.
Yes. Thank you for explaining that. That was one of the best explanations I've heard.
I agree.
Yeah. And I have another question here that says, is telepathy involved in sacred sexuality? And what I'm hearing from Saint Germain is that telepathy is the act of sending or giving energy or receiving and feeling energy. So you are the receptor or the receiver or the giver in that term, which is the same when it comes to any ritual practice, sex or no sex.
Yes, completely. That's exactly what I was seeing, that it can be a part, and it is for a lot of people, that you have that sense of your twin flame, for example, if we're using that term, presence, right, in your energetic field, even in your light body, sometimes even as a fractal of yourself. So you may feel that as being like a telepathic, or you could call it telepathy. I think it is common for people experiencing that type of paradigm, of course, but it's not only for sacred sexuality, of course. It's like an exchange, basically, of energy.
Okay. Mhm. As I was bringing them in earlier this morning, one of the things that I wanted to roll across back and forth with the two of you and between these two beings together is the concept of the twin flame. And how inclusive or exclusive have we made that concept? You know what I mean? It's like I've observed so many false teachings about twin flames that it almost became an untouchable topic in my readings. I was hesitant to because there were so many disempowering, codependent teachings about, okay, if you're twin flame, and people were coming to me, and as a reader, they're coming to me and they're like, well, because it's my twin flame, that's why I'm not with anyone else, because it's my twin flame. So I don't even
Like
know.
using that to justify, right? Anything.
Yeah, because it's my twin flame, I can completely be in a disempowered, unhealthy place when it comes to the mental, physical, and sexual mindset of my life and love. And one of the things that I was hearing deeply from Saint Germain is that the twin flame construct has been deeply misunderstood.
Yes.
And I wanted to get your perspective on that, what he said.
Oh, yes. I was doing exactly that, like when I woke up and I was connecting with their essence, and Saint Germain was the one that came forward more strongly. And I was wondering, like, I was asking him, like, what do you want to ring? You know, what do you think we should talk about with these? And he was saying exactly the same thing. Like, it's important for us to perhaps discuss the term twin flames and bring an empowering perspective on it, and to help whoever wants and needs to understand what it means and what it doesn't. And then he comes with this awareness that, of course, that truth is completely subjective. It's a matter of perspective, like human truth. Basically, it's a matter of perspective. It's how you are looking at a situation. My truth might not be the same as yours. So this is the first thing that he mentioned. So of course that we will have different interpretations of these energies, and we will receive different things. But I completely agree. I've seen so many people saying such disempowering and sometimes even sad, things about twin flames that we have distanced ourselves from speaking more about it.
Yeah.
Because it can, and the way that he's showing this to me right now is that it can be what you make it, in a sense. Like, as a human, you will have a perspective about this, and because you have that perspective, you have defined that is how it will play out in your life, because you have the power. You are the god of your reality. So me telling you what it is and what is not really doesn't change anything, unless we are communicating in that level that we are affirming each other's beliefs, right? And if you are in a state of disempowerment, if you are already feeling victimized by your life, by your partner, it's really easy to attach meaning to something that someone told you, to something that you've heard, to something that you read somewhere. Whereas when you are feeling more empowered, when you are more grounded and centered in yourself, it's easier for you to define those things for yourself. So that is what he was showing me, basically, is that the root of the issue here is being grounded in your truth, and then observing things without so much attachment. So then you can define for yourself what those things are. And I can tell you what I feel about twin flames, like what are my beliefs, if it helps. But from what I was, understanding, for what he was showing me, it was that it's not about what is right, what is wrong, what isn't. It's who you are and how powerful you feel. Otherwise, every concept is a failed concept, is something that can further disempower you. But from my perspective, just to add to the conversation, I feel like twin flames are beings that vibrate in the same, it's even hard to explain, right? It's like you vibrate so similarly that you feel this immediate connection. It's like you have your soul's imprint is so similar to each other because you've had so many lifetimes together, so many encounters in so many different ways that you feel very connected to that person. That does not necessarily means that it is healthy, that it is compatible, that it is, that you will have a dharmic experience, which is a different thing, right? You could have, so just like the term itself as twin flames, I feel the way that I observe it when I'm doing readings and things as well is that someone or some ones that they just vibrate very similarly. They have very similar wishes for a certain specific thing that you want to do together. And that could be many different things. I do not see them necessarily always sexual or even romantic in any way. I do see that you can have a friend, that, and all that is your soulmate, your twin flame, or everything. And then how you are experiencing it really depends on your personal level of awareness, on your personal energetic hygiene, for example. Then it will match in a different way. But I do see them as always having roles to play with each other, like I'll teach you something, you teach me something kind of vibe. How about you?
That makes sense. Because someone in chat was saying, can twin flames be in your life to help you catalyze, to push you to the next level of your soul growth? And I was feeling a yes from both Saint Germain and Lady Portia to that. And this concept, what Lady Portia says is this misunderstood concept about twin flames being only dharmic, that you're going to have not only an instantaneous draw and a connection sexually and emotionally, but also a peaceful and karmically clear life. Dharma is also earned. There are very few twin flames, she says, that are born into the privilege of Dharma. They have had to earn those cycles, she states. Do you feel that as well, that you notice it? That they've earned it?
Absolutely. Is that I do believe, and again, from observing so many different connections, that a lot about relationships have to do with choice.
Yeah.
And when you choose each other, I choose to give you space to grow. I choose to give you space to work with me with these. I choose to communicate. That's how you create that dharma, is what Saint Germain is saying. It's like that's how you create that paradigm if you were not born into it. A few people are, born, and just like that's all that you wanted to do is create that dharmic experience. But that the path, sometimes it's built brick by brick, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah. So this idea of, well, it's not my twin flame if it's painful, or if there's so much suffering, or if it's not healthy, or any of those things. Twin flames have the propensity to begin the path in a very unhealthy manner so that you can bring it back around to center for your healing, wholeness, wellness, expansion, for your growth, because we are here to grow. We aren't here, is what she's saying. We're not here to be stagnant in our peace. To be peaceful, that we don't do anything, that we're just peaceful and fluffy and happy, she says. And just, if we wanted to do that, we wouldn't actually be incarnated, because that's what people do in the celestial realms. That's what they do in heaven. That's what angels do. That's after we drop this form, is what I'm hearing from her.
And I'm just hearing Saint Germain being like, you are not even made for it. If you are finding yourself in stagnation, everything in your system is telling you to move, to go, to do, to change. You are meant to change. You are meant to transform.
And oh no, it's not earned love, it's earned dharma. Love is a given. The ego would like to throw some snarky comments back out there and be like, oh, I don't want to have to earn it, I want it to just be there. No, of course you will feel love, and if you don't, you should walk away, twin flame or not. is what I'm hearing from Lady Portia.
Absolutely.
She's like, if you don't feel that love from the start, if you don't feel they're in love with you, if you don't feel in love with them, if you don't feel the respect, if you don't feel that, walk. She's like, "Toot, toot, 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 toot." She goes like that, just walk, use your 2 feet, use your walking boots, she says. So, no, there's no earned love. Love is a given, and if it isn't, you shouldn't be in a relationship, twin flame or not. Dharma. Let's hear Saint Germain's definition of it from either one of you.
Do you have something you want to add?
I was just this earned love was ringing like on repeat in my head when I read it, and it was just because of this. It's not about, oh, I'm just gonna incarnate in this life and then I'm lucky and I have someone just because I'm so good I will have this perfect love. It's because of this twin flame concepts that we have explained before. It is, you have lived before, you have resolved your karma in another life, perhaps you came here to support each other, and you have these types of situations to fix or to work towards in this life. So you come to support each other, you come together as, you know, as a peaceful relationship, because all the hard stuff you have already dealt with. It doesn't mean that you're not going to deal with other stuff in this life. You can also create other stuff all the time, but you're there together supporting each other as you go in this journey now. And so you're not earning something out of nowhere just because you're lucky or anything like that. It's things that you have already gone through. You have already lived those other situations, and then you come in this life to this new experience with someone to help you out with this. And it's not only, again, not only romantic. For an example, Fernanda and I, we have like a twin flame sort of relationship. We're not romantically involved. We are best friends, but we don't have any difficult difficult things to deal with or tension. We just come here to do awesome stuff together and support each other, and other people come along and challenges may arise as well, and we face it together, you know.
And that's what I was saying, that it's not to say also that we have not created opportunities
we're
to
human.
have karma, of course, but you choose to respect the person, you choose to love them unconditionally, and that's what we were saying before. So absolutely. And the only thing I heard from Saint Germain about karma and dharma, he said karma is movement, is friction, even.
That's what I heard from her too. She said energy in motion.
Yes, it's just energy in motion. And dharma is being. It's a state of being, basically. It's who you are. So again, that's why, like, when you say you've earned that dharma, it's because you found yourself so profoundly, and you found peace so deep within you, with who you are, forgiveness for all aspects of yourself, that you're not looking for that in someone else. That's a dharmic relationship, that you're not expecting that other person will what is the word, like, complete you. You complete yourself by yourself. That person adds to your happiness. They add to the drama, they add to the vibe, you know, they add to just being human, and that's what you decide to do together, right? So that's what I heard from him.
Awesome. Yeah. We had some questions about stuff in associated with the, like, Saint Germain in association with these practices, in association with the 7 Rays of Ascension. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit, because I feel like these two have always told me, and are on repeat now and forever, about 7 being a very magical number for the alchemy of healing. And there are 7 mystical laws. There are 7 chakra systems. There are 7 major universal laws. That's just the major ones. There are 7 graces. There are 7 days to Sabbath. There are like 7 everything, if you really, really think about it. So in the ascended masters that come through the Rays of Ascension, there are 7 Rays of Ascension, and he has always told me that it can be associated with the mystical laws, the 7 graces, and the 7 chakras. And that for each chakra, that there would be a potential different type of twin flame experience that you may attract to yourself. And I didn't know if the two of you had ever heard that from him or how you feel like what you're getting from that in your work.
We are actually working the 7 rays now on our Patreon for the past like couple of months.
Yeah.
And yes, we've been diving a little deeper exactly because of this magic that it brings to alchemy. And we work so much with alchemy that we're like, this is a great way to exemplify some of our abilities, basically, you know, like to as humans. That's what I'm hearing from Saint Germain. He's helping me explain it, which he does very well, and I love that about him. As humans, we've predefined certain things as a collective, right? And we, as souls, even before we incarnate, when we create this game of Earth, we bring certain elements to the game that are meant to help us basically remember. That's what he's saying. It's like to remember your full self in these bodies, right? So we gave ourselves many different tools to do that. And that's with the 7 chakras, that's with the 7 rays, that's with the 7 graces. Those are tools to explain, to try to grasp in a human way the vastity of God within us, of Source within us, right?
So then we divide it. We can't handle the whole life.
Exactly.
We divide it out. We divvy it out into 7 different categories. So what I've heard is similar to the tree of life as well. And we're going through those kingdoms of God. Like I'm a Kabbalah teacher as well in the mysteries. And I've noticed that a lot of those kingdoms of God as well have 7 factors that associate with the 7 chakra systems. And what I'm hearing from Saint Germain now, and I'm just so curious if that's coming into your practice as alchemist, is that when you're going through like the root chakra, that's akin to the kingdom of Malkuth. And it's this feeling of getting through all your fears and everything that the root chakra, represents. So when you're going through that level of ascension with healing the root chakra, that your sexuality could be geared from trauma if you're not mindful.
Yes.
And your relationships could also begin to attract types of not just any type of soulmate or twin flame that would be karmic, like karmic relationships are for the lower chakra systems, the first, second, third, fourth chakra system. In those chakra systems, I've noticed that in the root chakra, you're attracting, according to Saint Germain, twin flames that address your fears and address your worth issues, address your foundation.
Yes.
And then in the sacral chakra, he says that you're attracting twin flames and sacred soulmates who help you address your creativity, who you are and your gender, how you feel about yourself. Any womb healing that needs done is going to be done then, females. Right. And males too, anyone, gender or non-gender aside, no matter your fluidity, womb healing, everybody had a mom, right? We're not in the future yet. We're not test tube babies. Everybody had a mom. So regardless of gender, everybody's got something to address there, and that will play out, and we'll start attracting twin flames that are like mommy and daddy. So that's chakra number 2. Chakra number 3, he says, what is your personal identity? Do you know who you are? Know thyself. You're attracting twin flames that help you address and get to know who you are, that either bring you back into your power if you have a healed solar plexus, or remind you that you're out of power if you don't. Right? and then we go up to the heart chakra. Do we love ourselves? And how do we give and receive love when we go up into that chakra? So then we're attracting the type of twin flames that can help us see more and feel more into if we love ourselves or not, because how we love others is going to be dependent upon how whole we are and how healed we are in that heart chakra, if we have the capacity for self-love. And then throat chakra, when we go up into that, we attract twin flames that if you don't have a healed throat chakra, you just sit there and talk at each other and fight with each other and and not even each other. Or you'll have like one with a much more open chakra and one with a closed one. And the one with the open one will be talk, talk, talk. And the one that shut down will be like, I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen. I don't want to hear you. So that's the throat chakra twin flames. They have to work that out. And then you're going up into the third eye. What do you see about the world? What do you see about where is your power in the bigger picture of life itself? Where is your power there? And then we go up into the crown chakra. Where is our connection to knowingness, and how much do we trust in what we know
Yeah.
about ourselves and about the world and about source? Like, there's so many different types of twin flames we can attract based upon how healed we are in those chakra systems. And I have found that when I work with any of the masters in the 7 Rays of Ascension, that each of them will come through and teach me something a little bit different about what type of twin flame or soulmate I'm attracting,
Yeah.
and what that means about what chakra I need to work on and where I am in my ascension process.
Yeah.
So I just wanted the Lightworkers 613 take on that as well.
Do you want to share something before?
You can start.
No.
Please.
Absolutely. I completely agree with this. And again, with the one thing that Saint Germain was actually adding to this is that one person can do all that work for you in your material, your physical world. They can kind of evolve into this other aspect of a twin flame. So it's like that same person is playing this role for you depending on the agreement that you have. So maybe someone was wondering about this, like, oh, but this person is totally working with more than one chakra, you know. He's saying that it is possible and that we do that depending on the agreement that we have with them. But I completely agree with this, with the whole explanation that you did, and I think it's very empowering to think about it like that, because again, it's returning your awareness to you, to God within you, to your divinity. So these people will be mirroring to you something to help you, basically, right? It's like they're bringing something to the surface. They're showing it to us, like, here, there is something here that you perhaps need to work on, that you need to heal, that you need to integrate, etc., etc. Right? So I like this point of view, and Saint Germain is just nodding his head. He's like, yes, because he helps us again with the definitions, you know, that sometimes we need to create some different tools to understand the whole of our divinity. And there is nothing wrong with that. He wanted to add that as well, because we teach so much about oneness, and sometimes some misconceptions come within that he's like, it's mystifying sometimes to observe what you guys do and what you understand and what you don't. Right? Like, sometimes he gets so grumpy. He's like,
I know.
oh, not you again. So he was saying that it's like, oh my God, if you fully understand, not even understand, it's like embrace or at least accept oneness as a concept, how can anything be aside then? So when we are talking about chakra 1, chakra 2, chakra 3, it is within oneness. We're not separating, because you can't, you know. So it's the foundation of everything that we teach. I know that you teach that as well, you know, it's within the foundation. And so he's just bringing a light here into this, that because we are working with those definitions, it does not mean we are straying from oneness. We are simply coming into a human awareness so we can, again, like, evolve or grow or heal or whatever it is. Those are tools so we can human in these bodies, you know, using human as a verb. So he kind of just wanted to bring this up, you know, because again, maybe someone is wondering about that.
Yeah.
I was just remembering the class that we had last month, because it was exactly associated with the chakras and the sexual energy, because people often move their sexual energy because it is naturally nested in your sacral chakra, but you could find it in other places of in your body, in other chakras as well, and it comes also from that place of, oh, if my sacral is unhealed or unbalanced, this can move around. And that's why it's also so important for you to learn how to tune into your chakras and to your body, and learn how to balance them out together and work with them together as a whole, so you're not only attracting things and creating from this one place. And you know, you can maybe even be, the words went away in Portuguese and in English, so I won't remember exactly the term that I wanted to use, but it's like, you're not working only with one tool that you have, but also the 7 tools in
Yeah.
conjunction.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I agree. That kind of leads me to this question from Creatrix Alchemy, which has kind of been on my mind a lot lately because people um seem to have a belief system about what you need to do in order to experience a healthy,
Mm-hmm.
abundant love life. And she says that she wanted to ask about shadow work loops
Oh.
and of this idea of constantly having to do so much healing work, removing karma, removing obstacles to love in twin flame dynamics. So I wanted to bring Saint Germain and Lady Portia into our conversation here about that because I have noticed it as a healing facilitator and a psychic that people are like, well, what do I need to do? What modality do I need to do to be able to heal my heart and be receptive to a true twin flame dynamic?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your take on it?
But my heart rate is already spiking just thinking about it's like bringing the three of us and Saint Germain to talk about shadow work is the perfect scenario.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like
Oh, it is
priceless.
such a catalyzing day already.
Yes.
Here we are.
Yes. It's just great. I too have worked and observed this in a lot of people. And what I'm receiving now, he's saying that we could talk about this for hours and not really see eye to eye with the whole shadow work thing. But the technique I would apply is forgiveness. With forgiveness, you create a loophole. So you will stop going again and again. And sometimes the hardest forgiveness is to yourself. It's like if someone hurts you, sometimes it's even easier to forgive them than forgive yourself for putting yourself in that position. And this brings me to something that Leo talks about all the time with us, that the fundamental issue is what he says with us and how we think and how we grow right now as a collective is with our inability to forgive ourselves for choosing to be human. Once you forgive yourself for choosing to be human, everything else just opens up. It's much easier to flow with things and not again keep redoing them, keep rehashing things. That's the point. And he's saying that not only to forgiving ourselves for being human, but forgiving ourselves for creating duality, for creating a world where we get to experience all of that. He says that a lot, and Saint Germain is bringing that up again. So he's saying that the modality that you find will be something that works for you in that particular moment of your life, right? You see what you need and who resonates to help you get there. And he says that that is very important. We are not meant to do things alone. We're not meant to create life alone. We're here to hold each other's hands. And sometimes that's all we need, like hold space for me, just let me vent, just let me, be. And sometimes you will need someone to intervene, to help you out of a hole that you've created, but that is very particular to that specific moment in your life. Instead of that, looking at a bigger picture, it's forgiveness. Forgiveness will quote unquote fix anything you can think of. And it's a very intricate alchemy. Forgiveness is. That is why finding a facilitator, finding people that you trust, and sometimes that facilitator can be a friend or a partner. Sometimes it's a therapist, sometimes it's a doctor, sometimes it's a spiritual teacher. It's going to differ depending on the moment of your life and what you need in that moment. But being honest about where you are and then forgiving that's how you get out of the loop, is what he says.
Yeah, exactly. What I'm hearing is we can't always know when that moment of forgiveness is going to arise, and we can't always facilitate or make that moment happen. We're just doing modality, the ego doing things, trying to facilitate a moment of grace. A moment of grace is magical. It's what Saint Germain calls the holy instant, when this powerful light comes over you and you go, wow, all that shamanic work, all that ayahuasca, whatever it is that you've done, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like in this moment, I get it. And you may not have even been doing anything. All it takes, as I believe Lady Portia was talking to you about what she calls the sacred witness, as a person to be a witness for your pain,
Yeah.
a non-judgmental person to be a holy sacred witness for your pain
Yeah.
is so palpable and so needed in this world.
Yeah.
And the only thing required for that is that moment of the holy instant of forgiveness and a sacred witness for your pain. Whatever modality you want to create for your empowerment around that is wonderful. And if you don't have one, that's wonderful too. It could just be, she says, an aha moment. Right. For me, those moments happen during my light language when I'm channeling here on this channel, the light language songs. And sometimes you'll hear me just kind of start crying a little bit, like I'm having a moment where I can just feel my pain just dissipating. You know, you could just be petting your cat. You could be out for a walk and see a baby, look at you in a funny way. And then you remember other lifetimes where you realize like why you didn't or couldn't or don't have kids, right? There could be like moments where you go, aha, these are
Yeah.
the holy instant moments versus us trying to get our hands on forgiveness and modality the forgiveness and turn it and twist it like it's a radio dial and manipulate it and action it. All it takes is a holy instant and a sacred witness, she says.
Yeah. And Saint Germain is just adding that the only thing sometimes we need to do is trust in your divinity, and because it can get, the more practical side of it is believing that yes, you've created maybe all of those modalities for that one tiny moment that you found that aha, right? So it wasn't just to waste, it wasn't just to waste your time, it wasn't just to suffer, it wasn't just to, you've created all that beautiful intricate storyline for yourself, for your character in this life, so you could experience that thing, so instead of beating yourself up, because I do see people doing that a lot, just look at how marvelous you are, and how creative and smart and capable you are, that you've created a whole situation and so many different ways to get yourself out of it for those special miracle moments as well. And to trust, again, trust in your divine plan for this lifetime.
That's powerful. Trust in your divine plan for this lifetime.
Yeah.
How many people can say that they do that? Let's move that even deeper. Can you do it without knowing what it is?
Exactly.
Can you trust that you have one? And can you trust that it's happening through you? Not to you, not for you, through you, all the time, flowing through you. Creation
All
is
the time. That's a very key point. It's all the time. There's not like 1 second of your life that is
feels
not within
right.
that. Yeah.
Feels bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels good today. I'm feeling the spiritual
Yay.
connection,
Yes.
compassion and love. But that's not, according to Saint Germain through us today, that's not exactly what enlightenment is about. Enlightened people get angry. They get sad. They get sad.
Yes.
They still feel betrayal. They still feel whatever it is. Like you're still going
You're
to
still
feel.
human. Yeah.
You're not immune from feeling a certain way.
It's how you use those emotions, is what he's saying. It's how you allow yourself to express them through grace, through love, and that inner knowing that even when I am in that space of deep anger or grief or despair, even, that I am not removed from God within me, that I am not removed from grace, from source, and again, trusting that even if I am having a moment, I'm having a human moment because I have a human body that has human functions, and sometimes my heart rate will go up, and things will happen, that again, the oneness, you can't not be one. So it's here. It is who you are. And that's what he's saying. Like, that's what enlightenment is an awareness, is a remembrance of your true state of self, of your truth with capital T, not your human truth, right? Is that remembrance of the divinity that is innate to you, and there's nowhere you need to go and nothing you need to do, but you will, because you can. That's why you're human. You decide to be in a body so you can have things to do, so you can taste and you can love and you can smell and you can create, and that's why. Otherwise you would be a spirit guide. You would be not in a physical body. If you do not want to have physical experiences, if you do not want to, what is it, he shows me things sometimes and they're so beautiful, and it distracts me. It's like my brain goes, if you do not want to be human and be and acknowledge and honor and embody your divinity in this body, you would not be in a body. You chose to be here. That's as powerful as you can get in anything. So enlightenment is this awareness.
Yeah. This is an interesting question I'm seeing. It says, I would love to know why when I start using the violet flame a lot, I get psychic attacks.
Oh.
Yeah. And you may not like the Saint Germain answer to that. So how can I put this? He said, he's given you a metaphor, the Statue of Liberty. And you're holding this giant flame.
Yep.
And all the waves from the ocean are crashing into the statue, but you're the Statue of Liberty, so you're holding that flame. It's not knocking you down. The waves don't knock down. But maybe some little gnats come and they're attracted to the light. Maybe some bigger gnats come. Maybe other things come that are attracted to the light. But do you drop the light? Are you strong enough to hold the light? The violet flame is an intensely strong, energetic tool, and one must know the deeper art of psychic energy hygiene in order to hold the light. And if you don't, you're going to get it. You're going to get it because you're holding a light that darker entities and presences on this earth want. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's not because you need more shadow work.
Yeah.
It's not because there's some karma that needs clearing or a past lifetime. Like, don't go backwards on us, he says. Just know that if you're gonna hold the light of the violet flame, you must be deeply mastered. It is an honor. And you must master this body, master the psychic energy hygiene, do your spiritual practices to keep yourself grounded, cleansed, purified, protected. Know the psychic energy hygiene because you're holding the most powerful flame, the most powerful tool available for healing, and entities are going to come straight at you just because you called the light. Are you strong in your I am? Because if you're not, you can't hold the light. It's really that simple. Not a lot of people are going to like his answer on that, but what's your take on it, girls?
Oh, that's our take on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you getting?
No, I was just seeing the visual of you becoming a beacon, and then all this energy seeing, oh, yummy energy. Let me go there. But then it's a fire of transmutation and alchemy, and it will
There you go.
attract everything that also wants to be alchemized. But you gotta be strong too, and strong in your practice and in your body, and not only in your spiritual practices, as like not in the physical, also strong in your physical body and taking care, nurturing your body to be able to work with this such powerful energy.
And especially if you even add sacred sexuality to this mix. Ooh. Using sacred sexuality in the violet flame is for, I would say, highly initiated alchemists will have an easier time working with it. Otherwise it can, because like you said, it does not only shine, that's his a little addition to it. It does not only shine a light on what is around you, but what is within you and what you are attracting. So once you pull that flame up and you're like, I'm here, okay? Look at me. I am transmuting. I am the I am, right? A version of yourself that is ready to come out. It's like, look at me then. Can you still love me in my anger? Can you still love me in my grief? Can you still love me in my pettiness? you know, that version of you will come through for you to integrate it, transmute it, whatever it is that the work needs to be done. So you're shining a light on all those things, like you're becoming a beacon for the world and for yourself. And that is why it's important to have a good energetic hygiene and keep your body strong and all of those things.
Yeah. And to take this further, Creatrix Alchemy says, I'd like to address some of the more toxic and harmful twin flame programming. And I think that would be a really good idea right now.
Oh, yes.
So the most toxic one
I'm
is
sorry.
that you're supposed
It's
to
just
be
that
together.
you
Typically.
the energy you gave off is exactly what I was feeling. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
That's okay.
Is that before you started, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, it's like you've fully descended and arrived. So I love that.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm just like, I just have to breathe that through.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, so I've been a psychic for a very long time. I was a psychic when hotlines were a thing. All right. And that's how I started, on a hotline. Like, I have no shame about how I started. And I was like in my early 20s, you know, and I was getting the most painful calls about twin flames.
Wow.
And people would come to me after they had spent thousands of dollars on other psychics on the hotline that I worked for. You know this story because you probably get it. Thousands of dollars. And they're like, but the top psychic on this hotline told me that we're meant to be together and that we're going to be together. And then they come to me, and God bless them. But she's been accurate in other things, like, why is this not happening? And like pitting psychics against each other, all the stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and I didn't see the same. And I would go straight into the Master of Twin Flames, St. Germain and Lady Portia, the top twin flames available to us in accessibility. And I'd say, what do you guys see? Show me their Akash. Are they going to be together or not? And 9 times out of 10, for these higher twin flame connections, like, for instance, the split soul,
Mm-hmm.
that's the type of twin flames that you even question if they're meant to meet. Like, they're so connected that they're either going to be so deeply in love that no one else is going to spend time with them, or they're going to murder each other. Like, one of those things is going to happen.
No in between.
Like that. It's like you can't pull them apart. Split soul. And then they don't work out. And one of them would be married typically, and one of them wouldn't. There's always this degree of like, there's a leader, there's a runner. I don't know if you guys noticed that as well in your work with twin flames. There's a leader and there's a runner, or a leader follower, whatever you teach your student. There's always kind of this, the person who's learning and may or may not want it or be available. And then the person who knows, is aware, is teaching, is desperately wanting it. Almost too much.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Driver and a passenger. However, they're giving many different analogies to this, but it's just a kind of a common dynamic to some of the less healthy and more harmful twin flame programming, is that these my clients would go to these other psychics who would tell them, yes, and of course, like, you're paying them $4.99 a minute, they're going to tell you whatever the freak you want to hear, and they're probably scared to tell you likewise.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're scared to tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the nature of the hotlines, and even some of those that are still in operation. And then they'd come to me and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't see it happening.
Like, yeah. Like, ooh,
Yeah.
what? How can I tell you this? Let me hold your hand when I tell you this, right?
Let me hold your hand and your bank account, because I know you spend all your money and everybody's told you otherwise, but it's actually not going to happen. He's going to stay with his wife. No, he's not leaving her. He's not leaving his kids. He's not doing all the impractical things to come be with you. Right. And I've had people even have to, like, situations where there's been like stalking injunctions placed on people because the psychic told them to write letters perpetually.
Oh my God.
A psychic told them that they were meant to be together. That's some of the more harmful twin flame programming that I'm noticing in the psychic industry that I'd like to give a huge call out towards. Stop telling people that they're meant to be together when they're not together.
or just stop telling people to be together when they are clearly abusive to each other, or
Clearly
in a very unhealthy situation, right? And I understand people not wanting to hear that and not coming to people like you know, or me for that type of information. You need to be ready to detach, right? And I do see that we create that paradigm to find empowerment, to choose yourself, you know, like how much are you going to allow this person to walk all over you and dictate your life? Basically, that's what you're doing. You're giving all, not giving the power, but you understand what I mean, all the power to that person, that circumstance, and everything else in your life is just completely stagnant because of that, you know. Like it takes a level of emotional maturity, I think, to understand when something is not good for you, to a level that I should stop trying, you know, like to not keep hitting your head on a wall in something that clearly is toxic and only gives you pain. So again, this has nothing to do, and I think it's important to bring this up, and this conversation is important because of that, with that dharmic experience. Like certain situations will evolve, is what Saint Germain is bringing through now, into a dharmic experience.
Right.
But some of them
Will
are
not.
meant to show you, yes, that this was not for you, and they are meant to show you that you need to pick yourself in that situation, that you need to pack your bags and get the crap out of there, you know, because that's the best that you can do, and that's the best you can do for yourself in that situation, instead of, oh, but what if we still have karma, or what if we still, because you're so attached to the toxicity of that person, you know. It's like he's showing me like a venomous flower, you know, that you smell, and every time you smell it, it's like you're so addicted to that venom that you cannot see clearly. It's like you need to remove yourself from situations like that. Like some things will not evolve into a dharmic experience, and you will have certain it's like, how do I tell you this, certain hints certain hints in a direction, you know, that you can still feel loved and appreciated unconditionally, even when you have your differences, even when you're going through things that are so painful and so hard to do together. But there is still a level of trust that is not broken, even when you can't fully trust the person. In a way, your soul knows. So that's why you need to, again, return within yourself. And it's really freaking hard to do so when your heart is all over the place, when you've been shattered 1,000 times. And that's why you need someone. And me personally, I feel very triggered when I hear things like that, like people using someone else's vulnerability to make money, or using their vulnerability to spread their own agenda. In a way, it's really hard to
And that's
digest.
a human agenda, that programming. You know, the person who asked the question said she wants to address the more toxic and harmful twin flame program, but programming is created by humans. It's not created by the ascended masters. It's not from, you know, these twin flames and the masters that are twin flames. It's not, it's when the typically human spiritual communities get a hold of it, and there have been all these misperceptions about twin flames are supposed to romantically be together. If you use your twin flame, you're going to end up with them and you're going to be happy and it's going to be perfect and healthy. That is the harmful programming. So I want to kind of go into some of the different types of twin flames that they've made me aware of and get your take on it as well. So we talked about the split twin flame, the split soulmate. So in the split soulmate, it's like literally that soul is a portion of your soul. Have you seen people come across that? And when they meet, it's almost like meeting a doppelganger. Sometimes they even look alike. Sometimes they'll speak at the same time, or, you know, say the same thing, you know, like have that, like everything is the same so much that it freaks them out. And most of the time, one or both of them will get very scared because it's so rare.
It's usually one of the most painful ones when it doesn't work, I think, because again, it's like seeing yourself in someone else. And when that other self does not love or appreciate you the way that you want to be loved and appreciated, is very painful. I've seen that too.
And the way that he's describing it to me right now, in terms of like, he compares twin flames with food, because he's a foodie. So he's comparing the split soulmate connection with the star fruit, the rare type of fruit.
Mhm.
But he says, but you don't eat star fruit every day, because if you did, and you don't live in those lands where star fruit is indigenous to your soils,
Mhm.
you're going to get a stomach ache. So
Yeah.
it's like, you don't want to eat the apples and the oranges and the stuff that is presented to you, because you want star fruit and kiwi all day. So we have people holding out for the split twin flame connection and the dharmic twin flame connection. Those are the two rarest ones, according to these masters today. But we have people holding out and absolutely refusing to go about their karmic journey of expansion or to love anyone, because they're waiting on the star fruit. Now they got
Mhm.
apples and grapes and strawberries. They have the kindred spirit. They have the karmic one. They have so many different types. The mirror soulmate connection. Those are some of the ones that are really good, that can be equally wonderful. Like kindred spirit twin flame is like having your best friend be with you,
Yeah.
your best friend who's going to be there, like your ride or die,
Mhm.
no matter what. But you don't want that, because you're holding out for that star fruit,
Mhm.
the dharmic one, the
And
dharmic twin flame, or the split soulmate connection, which may or may not break your heart into and shatter into 1,000 million pieces.
Mhm.
May or may not. Like, we don't know that that's exactly
Yeah.
wonderful.
Likely. Yeah.
Right. So then you have people holding out for that. That's some of the other toxic program that I've noticed
Yeah.
around the flames. Have you guys noticed that?
Absolutely. And it brings me back to sacred sexuality and how sacred sexuality can help unlock those things, and create other opportunities, because I see this correlated with us denying ourselves pleasure. It's like there's the only one thing that you've determined that is the thing for you, and you're not allowing yourself to feel pleasure with the strawberry. Strawberries can be so sweet and so good. Dip them in chocolate, even better, So you're not allowing yourself
It's getting sexual.
to go. There we go. It took us about an hour, but we arrived.
We arrived at a sacred
Yes.
sexuality.
And I do think it has a correlation with some imbalance with your sexual energy, with your sacred sexual energy, that you're not allowing yourself to fully empower. Again, it could be because of paradigms of society and religions and so many different things. It could be trauma, of course, that energy got repressed, or etc., etc. But sacred sexuality can help us unlock the potential for feeling pleasure with different aspects of ourselves, with different aspects of reality, with different types of partnerships. So we can detach from those expectations, those harsh expectations that we create for ourselves, and allow ourselves to feel good. And I think that, again, going back to what Hillel always says, we're punishing ourselves for creating duality again and again and again. So this is one way that we're doing it. It's like, oh, you're not going to have pleasure with these other things. You need to have the star fruit. Okay. Otherwise we cannot do this. And you're limiting yourself again and again. And only you can limit you, is what Saint Germain is saying now. No one else can come and put a brake on your car for you. It's like you need to pull the brake. And that's what we're doing when we are getting so attached to those stories. And again, releasing your desires and allowing them to be a part of your sacred practice can be so empowering in so many different ways.
Flavia has a pain in her face. Are we okay to continue?
Yeah, what's going on with your face?
What?
Face.
I look what?
No, you have pain in your face.
Pain? No, it's not pain.
What is
It's whenever. Well, I haven't channeled publicly much. It's like I've been speaking more.
you feel the
just
energy
public.
here when you do
Oh
it?
my God. Yes. It starts burning my neck and my face. It's whenever these beings are around.
I was like, what is that? I'm a physical medium. And I was like,
Yeah.
I have to stop and just ask you, what is that? What are you doing? Are you
It's a
okay?
mess. Yeah. And the more they talk, the more like, oh my God, so too hot.
Oh man, physical
Yeah.
mediumship is a pain in the butt.
It is. It's not to talk about whenever I'm talking to someone and the pains in the body that the person is feeling, like,
Yeah. To be 100% honest, do not recommend.
Do not recommend. Oh, I want to be a channel. Do you really?
Well, yeah, maybe great for telepathy, but not so great for physical.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to check on.
But no, I'm good. I was just hearing on repeat, and I'll try to go back to the thought, because I was also, too distracted with the heat. But before the channeling, I was connecting with them, and I kept hearing, "Love is free, love is abundant," and it only made sense until now, when we started to talk about this toxic type of twin flames, and then the different types of twin flames, because we so often find people obsessing over a person and obsessing over an idea of a relationship, an idea of what this person is. But is it the person really? You're so focused on what you think you want of this relationship, what you think you want of this person, that you don't give yourself nor the person the chance to be in this relationship or to be out of this relationship. Because if you do, just step out for a moment and observe it without the lenses of this, different idea of a twin flame, you may find that this thing that you are working so hard to get may not even be for you, may not even be aligned with the things that you really want for yourself. So it's really important to take a breather and pay attention to your actions and to the things that you are so putting so much effort on in acquiring for your life, if that thing is still, in alignment with you. Because maybe you started doing that a year or 10 years ago, and you're a different person now. So love is free, love is abundant. This person is not the only person for you. There are so many people out there. You don't have only one twin flame. Twin flames are all around. So, give yourself a chance to be that.
I wanted to talk about that there, because what he's saying to that through me is that twin flame is an essence.
Yeah.
It is an essence.
Yes.
You guys hear that from them too? Like it comes in and it's an essence, like the wind. Does the wind blow on one person's face and then, it's not going to reach anyone else? So say if you're walking through and he says like that essence comes into a person, you're walking through life together and you happen to meet each other, there's a potential, because you're soul family. And you're soul family, and there's a potential for that essence to light up, that charismatic grace to fully embody. But then say that person is not practically available, or something happens where they can't, or they are not feeling it, they're not into you, whatever the case is.
Not compatible to you.
Right? Lack of compatibility, whatever the case is. Then that essence will leave, just like the wind doesn't land in one person and stay stagnant. The wind doesn't just blow in one place. It keeps going and going and going, and it affects whoever walks through it. So whoever is on the spiritual path will be affected by the essence of the twin flame, and that essence will leave that person and breathe that life into another person. And the same way that you said you would never feel before, you will feel that. I know people that were like, no, I had a twin flame. He was it for me. I will never feel that way again. And then say that person dies or leaves them, or something horrible happens. And then the essence leaves them because they're gone. And the essence comes in and walks into another person. And then suddenly they feel that way again, and they surprise themselves. I see that a lot.
That's what I was trying to explain when I was explaining twin flames. That's exactly it. It's a vibration in essence. And then they come, and I've seen that happening with clients as well, that, and sometimes I can understand how confusing it can be if you're looking at it at a linear fashion, right? And Saint Germain is saying that, that's exactly where the confusion comes a lot of the times. But if you're just looking at the web and the flow of divinity of creation, it's not so hard to understand that essence comes in, it plays a role for you, and sometimes it is what it is, and it's gonna go a different direction than you thought that it was, and that energy jumps into someone else. And that's what I try to explain to my clients when I see them having this type of confusion, in a way, that and I really feel, that for the person. It's like, oh my God, I totally understand, because you also have put such expectation and such energy into a relationship, and then when it starts fizzling out, it can be so heartbreaking in a way. But I love that. The love is so abundant. And I do think this was a very important thing that you brought through, Flavia, with that. And the thing that I heard immediately when you said that you don't have only one twin flame was Saint Germain was like, ooh, this is controversial. I love it. Because he's all here for that. So it is like a controversial point of view, and I completely agree.
Oh man. Is there a twin violet flame? I'm
Oh,
gonna
that's
that
an
one?
interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, it's a yes, especially because if you can think it up, is a yes, is his main answer to you. So if you thought about it, there is an aspect of it for sure. And combining those two together can be very powerful and sometimes even catastrophic, is what he's saying, because it can be so strong, that type of pull and that type of the alchemy you can create with like a violet twin flame is one of the highest aspects of alchemy you can create in your life. And what he's showing me is that that's what Yeshua and Mary Magdalene created in their bodies. It was that type of, it's a transcendental, is that the word in English?
Yeah.
Energy that you meet, you create like a bridge of consciousness between the seen and the unseen, between the physical and the non-physical with that. And if you can create a life to make that work, it's one of the highest expressions of twin flames you can experience. What happens is what we talked about before. If you're not feeling very empowered, if you're not feeling grounded, if you the same thing with that, like you just shine a light in each other's worst aspects, and you just catalyze each other intensely, and that's all that you do. You need to be very prepared in a way, and have a very strong practice and be very faithful to that, is what I hear from him.
And that's really wonderful. And that's a nice segue because someone asked in chat about the different types of twin flame agreements, and we had gotten into it a little bit, but I find that there could be a sacred sexuality practice to heal any of those twin flame agreements and dynamics.
Yes.
So you have the karmic dynamic where you're there for the karma. You're there for it. And it may or may not transcend to dharma.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not. Sometimes, you pass this lifetime before you get through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes worth of karma. But then you get many more without those karmic dynamics in the other lifetimes because you've worked through, and you may not see the benefit of that when you're in the midst of it, but in the next lifetime you may, or towards the end of this lifetime you may. Karmic twin flames are one of the most difficult, aside from the split soul connection.
Yeah.
Then you have the dharmic ones, which you may have earned it from a ton of karma in other lifetimes, or this one, and then maybe your karmic twin flame transcended into a dharmic twin flame, or maybe you're one of the rare ones and you guys were just met each other and instantaneously had perfection, but that's very rare. It happens, but it's rare. Then you have the kindred. I want to talk about the kindred twin flames because you actually don't have deep sexual connections in the kindred twin flame. You may deeply emotionally love each other, and then you marry each other because you trust that love and you trust that person, and that's your ride or die, or that's your best friend. But I know kindred twin flames right now who, they're like, I get this a lot. Like one of them feels the sexual attraction and one of them doesn't.
Wow.
Because they've been brother, sister, they've been all these different more platonic, familial scenarios. And then they come into this lifetime and that sexual connection is, but they don't want to leave each other because they trust each other. They have kids. They have a very good life. They have the ride or die. They have the best friendship, all this kind of stuff. But then they're underestimating it because they don't have the sexual component of it.
Yes. That's gotta be painful for whoever is on that on the end that actually does feel attraction to the other. It's like I bet that's a very deep alchemy that needs to occur there for the person. But I was just thinking that maybe Flavia and I, that's the type that we are. You know,
Sure.
like, yes, that we have zero physical attraction to each other. We feel like a sisterhood to each other, and it's exactly that. Like, you can trust the person 100%. You don't even want to do things without them sometimes, you know. It's like, and like, we've created a whole life for ourselves together. We're not a couple. We live together, we work together, and we do not plan on separating. You know, it's like, oh, I'm gonna marry someone, she's gonna marry someone else, and we're gonna have different houses. No, we're gonna add them to the group, you know.
Right.
And
They're
then
talented, yeah.
yeah, so we're gonna have like a different type of family, you know, that
Yeah.
A
we
community.
yes
Yeah.
exactly, you know. And it's very interesting to think about it like that, because I don't see a lot of people talking about how your best friend can be your twin flame, you
I don't
know.
see
And
that either, because, and what I've noticed is there will be in the twin flame connections, there will be like the leader of that kindred spirit twin flame, whoever the leader or the teacher is
mhm,
typically more evolved, but sometimes they would want the dynamic so much that they become attached to the sexual dynamic as being absolutely 100% necessary, because they haven't faced self-worth issues or personal insecurities. And then they're going to start to think that the other person doesn't love them because they're not having sex with them, and so on and so on and so on, versus like the deeper understanding of, okay, there is something so much more gratifying than the sexual aspect, would
yes,
be what that person has to learn. That's
and
where sexuality could come in. They could do sacred sexual practices to get to know their bodies, to get to know themselves. You know, they could go through some of the practices that you guys teach and get to fall deeply in love with themselves to the extent that they don't have that sexual need from that partner. And then
mhm,
the interesting paradox is, I've seen those kindred twin flames turn around once the one person who wants it doesn't actually need it.
mhm,
Then it turns around to where the person who kind of doesn't want it because they don't need sex in their lives,
mhm,
they they suddenly start to want it from the person.
yeah,
Then they suddenly are like, oh, that's attractive to me, that you don't actually need it, that I don't actually have the pressure
yeah.
about it, right? Because some,
Ends with sacred sexuality, this whole thing.
yeah, because there are beings that are so deeply connected to God that they don't need sex in their lives. People don't understand that.
Mhm,
There are beings that do not need sex in their lives, and that is not unhealthy,
of course.
right? But can they open up and have a beautiful creative experience? Yes. There's also that side of that. Like, is it always from trauma when someone doesn't want sex? Not
Oh,
always.
yes, of course not.
Ask Buddha that. Does Buddha, like, people go up to Buddha or
Yeah.
Jesus and say, oh, you don't want to have sex? Is something wrong with you? Right? You wouldn't have that question in that scenario, is what Lady Portia says. You wouldn't question Saint
Yeah.
Germain, myself. We don't have sex. And yet we are twin flames, but we do not need to have sex. The only situation for Lady Portia and Saint Germain to need to have sex is if they want to, or is if they were humans and had that programmed into the third density desire component,
Mhm.
animalistic side of them. But can you transcend that in sacred sexuality to where the person who doesn't want the sex and the kindred spirit connection, can they suddenly want it? And the person who needs it, has attachment, can they suddenly need it less?
Yeah,
That's my question.
exactly. Because, of course, because when we're working with sacred sexuality, we're working with balancing out all of your aspects, basically. And as we mentioned in the beginning, we started calling them by more gender neutral names, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, just so we don't get confused about what that means. But just for the purpose of the conversation and not to confuse anyone, we are balancing out the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and there is a third energy that is also coexisting in your body, that is part of your sexual energy, that is completely neutral. You know, it's basically just a spark of source, you know, it's a spark of consciousness, the polarity working with it, and all those sacred energies, they are within you and they form your sexual energy, right? And they form basically, like, every aspect of your life is connected to those things. So when you are practicing sacred sexuality, and again, it has nothing to do with masturbation, with sexual acts. It can, and it does sometimes, because it's part of the practice, if you want it to be part of the practice, but it's much deeper than that. So it brings balance through all of those aspects. It brings forgiveness through all of those aspects of yourself. It brings grace to your awareness that you are grace, and it elevates your consciousness to its highest and most beautiful, I'm going to say, aspect that you decided for yourself that you wanted to experience in this earth, on this body. And sometimes that can mean that I do not, oh my God, I feel completely self-satisfied. Sex is nothing for me, and I'm great. And I love that. I love that for me, and I love that for my relationships. But you found that so profoundly to be your truth that everything just flows and it makes you deeply satisfied.
Yes.
That's your satisfaction, right? I find satisfaction in this. The blockage that I see and that I perceive and that I work with people a lot is not allowing that satisfaction to be met because of preconstructs of what desire is and what desire is not. Again, has nothing to do with sex and sexual acts. Whereas for other people, I wanted, when I designed this body, when I designed my path, I wanted to have visceral, animalistic sex. And that's what I want. And that's me meeting my satisfaction, you know?
Mhm.
So it might very well be the case. So when you're working with two twin flames, that one of them has a huge sex drive and the other one doesn't, and then this one starts balancing them out because they are so connected energetically. One's work, if the other one is ready, if the other one is allowing for their own energy to be calibrated by their twin flame, they will meet each other in a middle ground, basically. So maybe that can mean that one that had absolutely no drive and did not want to have sex, it awoke for them. It was brought to their awareness because, oh, maybe that's what I want to create now with you. You know, it's like that balance. Or maybe they will find it in between that, you know what? Don't want to have sex. That's not our vibe. And what is wrong with having sex outside of our joined agreement, right? If I want to have sex, and if I want, again, to experience that with someone else's body, of course, today we have so many different types of sex toys that could highly satisfy any type of body, right? If you allow yourself to go there. But sometimes you want human heat. You want to be with someone else in that regard. There's absolutely nothing wrong with experiencing that in a sacred, beautiful, consensual, open way, right? If there is communication, of course. Like, you can't just go away and try to find that. Have, like, open that communication within your relationships and everything. But again, just looking at it energetically, that's what I see happening. They are so connected and so in sync vibrationally, especially with this kindred type, that the way that I perceive, it's like someone that is always, even if you push each other, it's in a kind and even like merciful way sometimes. It's like, I'm pushing you, but I'm holding you at the same time. It's like, here on my shoulder, and let me tell you, what you did right now absolutely sucks. Like, I need to tell you this, you're being an absolute asshole, but I'm here with you in a way. So there's always that, we're walking the walk together. So when energetically someone improves their own self, the other person, if they are allowing, if they are ready, they will feel that just because of that connection. And I feel that it's beautiful, and you work with each other and you better each other, and it's absolutely stunning. And it does not mean that you need to be having great or whatever sexual experience you are with them. There are so many different types of energy exchange.
Right. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, in light of people who are perhaps paralyzed from the waist down, or people who have deep health concerns, who perhaps in the mindset they want to feel a sexual drive, but there could be a health problem going on. There could be, trauma going on as well, emotional traumas that make them not have a sex drive. It could be situations going on that make sex a lot less important of a part of the twin flame connection. But what I'm finding a lot is that people put a lot of emphasis on the physical sex, right? Versus trying to find ways to connect energetically, to feel that drive and to let that drive happen, whether or not sex happens or not. Right.
And also within, again, sacred sexuality and twin flames, merging those two together, you
Mhm.
can have astral sex, you
Mhm.
can have mind sex. Again, it's a whole nother conversation. There's a lot of
Yeah.
other things of
Yeah.
consent and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's possible to feel pleasure without using your nether regions. You know, you could feel that type of orgasmic pleasure in your heart, and you may feel that also like with your kids, with, you know, your pets. It does not have to be sexual and like romantic in any way. Is allowing that, again, allowing yourself to feel the pleasure of being human
Yeah.
so completely that you can feel it everywhere, that it can be everywhere. And that's what we work with, you know, with sacred sexuality.
Yeah. And that is incredible. Like, I experienced Tantra for the first time, and it was very, very weird. It was not with a sexual partner.
Mm-hmm.
It was just with someone who I did not feel that vibe for, and they were not trying to give me sexual pleasure. They were touching my hand and just like just gently, when you know how people talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really young when this happened. This, like, barely an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And the person touched my hand just kind of like this, just like they were um just comforting me over something because I was upset. And I had like a whole chills, like a whole arm orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole, you know what has it ever happened
Yes.
in Tantra? Like, Tantra is so interesting. Like, my whole arm was like, oh my God, like my arm is freaking out, you know? And my head was confused because I did not feel sexually attracted to the person.
Mm-hmm.
They were much older than me. We weren't gonna, like, it wasn't like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was no sexual attraction on their side towards me either. It was a pure friendship, but there was obviously a twin flame without that thing.
Yes.
And even in the orgasmic scenario with my body kind of like body orgasm, but not down there.
Mm-hmm.
Tantra is very interesting in
It
that.
is. It's magic.
I think it's also important to note that your sexual energy and your creative energy is one and the same.
Yeah.
So whenever you're cooking, dancing, drawing, doing anything really, you are using your sexual energy. So it's like your life force.
Yeah.
It being expressed through physical sex with someone, or it being expressed through, you know, talking to a friend. It's you. It's you have this innate to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is one thing that Saint Germain is pointing out, is like, this is very important to mention, is how innocent it is. And that's what the story that Pamela brought forward now, that's exactly what it is. This sacred energy is completely innocent, and we bring it to feel good. And that's okay, you know, and you will feel good in different ways. And sometimes just sitting, you know, and talking to your friends, and it doesn't even need to be like that full on orgasmic thing, but just an overall pleasantness, is that the word? You know, like you feel good and life is good. It doesn't need to have such extremes either. Is He's was saying that this is important to also know, because not everybody goes all in or all out.
That's what she
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
It's just the tip
Um,
sometimes.
where's I going with that? What I was hearing from Lady Portia was the energy of the womb energy, of being in the womb of Divine Mother, the creative energy of being held in the womb of Divine Mother. And what that feels like is that deep resonance. It's like you're building that womb in your friendships,
Mm-hmm.
in your connections, in your Tantra together that you don't even know you're doing. She said, you don't even know that most of you are doing Tantra together without even touching each other, because most Tantra does not require a ton of touching.
Yeah.
Right? So it is just like Tantra, even in your words.
Yes.
And Tantra is not something that is always going to be something sexual. People just go straight into programming this into the sexual organs. But because we're not our sexual organs, we need to understand that sexuality
Yeah.
is not just that. It's the whole creative womb energy of
Mhm.
Divine Mother, she says.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're all in there together like little twins in the womb, feeding from the same placenta, swimming around in there, kicking Divine Mother's belly, whatever it is we're doing together, like complaining, you know, all of the things. This is the image that she's giving me is like we're twins in the womb, floating around, like being nourished from the same placenta of Divine Mother.
Yeah. I love that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I love also that this topic has come up now for us to talk about, because we see so many people talking about twin flames and seeking this connection, and we see them only seeking this through a relationship, but that's mostly because from my perspective, that society expects you to grow up, get a partner, marry for life.
Yeah.
And you seek then this partnership in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, and you want this person to be your twin flame. But having now this awareness that your twin flame is not only one person and it's not only romantic, you can allow yourself to open your eyes really to the people around you and to the opportunities that you have to build community with people that can just improve your life and give you so much of what you're seeking in one person. You can have this with a whole community,
Yeah.
if you allow yourself to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
It's a really rare, beautiful thing when soul families can connect so deeply. I consider the both of you like in my twin flame community.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And Anya too, of
notice
course.
the
Yeah.
thing of it, it's like when you have twin flames together, like they can't stop talking, they can't stop laughing, they can't.
Yeah.
It's like a magical slumber party.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and it's like, just by you're saying something, and by the other person's face that they completely understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
By their energies that they completely get it, what you're saying and what you're trying to express.
Mhm.
And it's like us three, we can go for like months without
Yes. Even talking? Yeah.
even talking. And
Yes.
it's like, I'll be like, hey, so did you see that? And were you thinking this? And you're like, oh
Yeah. It's like, oh my God. Yes.
And then it's like that.
Yeah.
Then it's like that. I can't believe you said it because I was just thinking about like just now. Darn it! Are you
Yes.
in my head?
And now,
Like,
and even like sometimes we're going through something and we don't know what's going on with you. And then we
Yeah.
talk and we're like, how we're going through exactly the same thing
Yeah.
in
yeah,
different
how is that
countries.
happening? How is that happening? Like,
Yes.
like the same things,
Yeah.
same pains, the same karmic growth points, the
Yeah.
same karmic rewards and expansions and awakenings as well.
Yeah.
Same things in business, the same things in friendship, the same things in your family. And then you talk to each other, but you haven't talked in say like 3 or 4 months, like some kind of,
Yeah.
and then you're like, what's going on? Well, shit, me too. Like, hey, what's going on?
And also like us not talking all the time, it does not take away from any of it at all.
Yeah.
Like you just immediately, you just know it's like it's a heart to heart kind of thing. And
Yeah.
again, and if we absolutely know, like if you need us, we're 100% there.
Yeah.
And if we need you, you're 100% there. It doesn't matter what's going on. And this is beautiful, and it's good, I think, for people to allow themselves, right? That's what Saint Germain is saying, that this is a good example, that we're showing here now, and how light it can be, how easy
Yeah.
it can be, and I think that I'm so grateful for that and so honored that we get to have that. It's easy for us, it's like we don't have to make it hard, and even if like, oh, we need to talk about something harder or anything like that, there's always space, there's always honor, there's always that deep understanding of each other, which is beautiful. So he was saying, allow yourselves to find that, and don't get so attached to the ideas that you have of what twin flames are and what they are not, like let yourself find this happiness in different ways.
We had a question in chat about like the Kundalini Awakening in association with the twin flames when they meet. Like, did they wanted to ask, did we know about that, or did can Saint Germain or Lady Portia comment on the Kundalini Awakening specifically when twin flames meet and one person has like this full Kundalini Awakening and the other one does not?
Oh.
Yeah.
Of course. You go.
I go.
You go.
Yeah, your turn, Flavia.
The face.
The physical mediumship all the way.
Yeah.
You're lucky that you only get that in your face. I get that same feeling in my bladder when I channel.
Oh,
no.
God.
The pee.
Me too.
But
I
it
didn't know
doesn't-
it was a thing.
Yeah, we didn't even know.
I feel it all
Like when I'm
over.
really channeling, bladder's on fire, and I'm
It's
like,
like, oh my God, just
God.
stop.
when you stop your channeling, put everybody in the hall, go to the bathroom, nothing happened.
Yep.
Why does that have to burn there? And I asked
Exactly.
that.
It's like,
She was like, because divine feminine, hello.
yeah.
Light up your loins. Like, you guys
That
didn't
is
know that about me, but-
exactly it. It's like your loins going like, hello.
that
Oh my
means
God,
you have a
stop.
really active sacral chakra. Good on you, right?
It's good.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if your face is lighting up, you might have really
Yep.
active throat or third eye or crown,
Yeah.
active upper chakras.
I blame this on them trying to make me talk.
Yeah,
This,
great. I like it. I like
Yeah.
more of your channeling. So what do you think when the Kundalini happens with one twin flame but not the other?
Okay. What do I think of why it happens, or
just
what to do when it happens?
Anything that comes to you.
Or okay. First, take a breather. It happens. It can happen. What I'm getting here is I'm seeking for an answer in two, because we are considering two people, but I'm only getting an answer for one, because it's like you're going through this journey, you're getting this awakening for this connection and working with this energy within you. And maybe by working with this within you, it may or may not awaken in the other person as well, if this is part of their journey.
Mhm.
But it's important for you to connect with it and look in your body, how it feels and what it means for you to be going through this awakening, and how this energy is expressing in your life, and how you want to express this energy in your life. Because it's not only sexual, as we've said before, it's not only through sexual acts with a partner, it can maybe even be only with yourself. So look within. If you're not seeing this reflected in anybody, it's on you. It's go within and work through this energy, feel this out, and really sit in meditation and with intention what you want to create, because this is a powerful force that you can have, you have in your disposal to use.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what do you get?
I'm feeling a lot of the same, the images that were coming through that she is giving me. It's kind of like feeling initially as if you have to challenge the notion of separation, almost as if you're in a time capsule in a womb by yourself. But remember, twin flames are in the same womb. So can you feel that a little bit more of, regardless of the actions or the lack of actions in the other person, can you still be on fire with each other in the same space?
Yeah. It's
You
an
know,
opportunity.
it's an opportunity to consider what that means in terms of, I've known twin flames kind of go into sacred sexual practices, kind of independent of each other, and like consider the other, set an intention to connect to the other, to think of the other during the sacred sexual practices and things like that. And then the other twin flame would suddenly feel something, but they may or may not be at that pace spiritually of awakening to where they would join you in that act. But do you have their higher self's permission to intentionally focus on them? Perhaps you do.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
higher self has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
And in the other realms, like, we are all deeply connected in a sacred way, sex or not. So there's a lot to that Lady Portia brings to our awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been at this for 2 hours, and girls, I know it's getting super late in Portugal, so we're probably going to need to close.
Yes, we didn't even realize.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are probably getting tired. So thank you so much. And we will do this again. You guys, you can find them on lightworkers613.com, on patreon.com/lightworkers613.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can check out all their work in either of those two places. And I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stop our YouTube recording now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
the opportunity, for being here with you guys. Thank you for the
Yeah.
questions and the love from everyone on chat as well.
Yeah.
We love you guys. And we are channeling Twin Flames this month, our
Yes.
patrons, Twin Flames. So if you want to join us there,
Yeah.
yes, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Bye, YouTube.
Thank
Bye.
you.